2 inches for £2, mate. That'll go a long way in some other places. Hello and welcome to ZeroToDesign, the best place for you to level up your UX, UI and design thinking skills. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so that notifications can notify you when you want to be notified. In this episode, we'll have key design points pop up in labels like this, and you can find links to them in the description. Let's do this. Domino's app, here we go. Onto the App Store. Number 6 in food and drink, 4.8 star rating, 1.2 million ratings.
It's pretty high.
That's incredible.
The food images are very enticing. I'm actually surprised they don't have that on the first screen.
Look at that. Look at that pizza.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. We want notifications.
Yeah, I mean, I like the food at the bottom, the call to action at the top. The UK and Ireland's an interesting thing. It's confusing why I'm seeing Ireland.
They didn't ask for location.
Yeah, exactly. I like the reassurance, the fact that it's telling me that they're taking COVID seriously.
I actually want to disagree with your point about the food. From a and this is going back to kind of like our heat map thing. I'm almost saying you could flip the two, where you'd actually have the inputs towards the bottom of the screen, and then the brand graphics up at the top. Similar to EasyJet. But instead of having dead space, lots of food.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Going on to button hierarchy, you've got red for login, you've got green for delivery, and then you've got an outline-only button for collection. I'm a bit confused between delivery and collection. Like, is it that delivery is selected, or does it mean that I click delivery? Like, if I'm just going to okay, cool. That's just a bit weird. To me, this should almost be like a toggle. Collection or delivery, right?
Yeah.
Selecting between. It's one or the other.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, now you've actually
got
me very confused there.
It's confusing.
Because I'm questioning whether you should maybe even take away the buttons, just have the postcode to start with.
In fact, one step further, just like they asked us for notifications, ask me for my location. I would assume this icon here lets me, puts my location in there.
Yeah, that for me, I noticed it because I'm a designer. I know you put some
Yes.
icons on the right-hand side of the input, but for the benefit that gives to a customer, the discoverability was so low there. Like that could even
Very
be
low.
a button in itself.
When you're doing the initial permissions prompt, ask for location at the same time, and then that way you're not inputting anything. Obviously, people should still have the choice to put in their information separately if they don't want to give permissions, which is fine. I would go through the flow where automatically allow them access to my location and choose the option of delivery or collection.
Yeah, I think that definitely is an option. Not to disagree with you, because I think you're wrong. But the problem I do have with asking for notifications up front is that you're asking for something from a user before you've given them any value. You know, they did already ask you for notifications at the beginning. If they also ask for locations as well, some people might be fine with that and just be like, yes, allow. But other people might be like, well, why are you asking for everything so soon? And especially with a rising concern with data and privacy, I'm not sure that's the right thing to do. I definitely think that it should be more intertwined about asking you for your location explicitly as opposed to a very small icon in the right-hand side of the input.
Okay, so delivery. I hate the hierarchy here. I don't know about accessibility standards, but that grey on that darker grey, I hate it.
The text is quite light. It's a good point, actually. That is probably highly unlikely to pass accessibility standards. But then it's only a specialised few that actually order pizza, right? It's not the general population.
What?
Slow burner. I did praise the fact that they had the reassurance thing on the first screen. They've now got it on this screen as well. But yeah, having that twice, and especially the size of this on the screen, is interesting. You know I love a visual, and that's my phrase that I keep saying. I think that the icons they've gone for there don't really represent the exciting, juicy food that you could be getting from these deals. No. Okay, let's order a single pizza. Oh, thank you.
Finally.
Wow, I mean, why don't we start with this?
Exactly. Mate, this gets me excited.
Wow.
I'm already here thinking, yes, I want a pizza. And I see this boring ass screen.
Oh, gosh.
No.
Oh, wow.
I don't even care about COVID. COVID gets killed in the oven.
There's good and great here. Good is kind of a dark layer behind so that you can actually see the white. I think what great would be is to actually have these images especially done so that there was just a section in the screen that allowed a clear space for text. So if you look at the desserts one, you're almost there in the desserts one with the cookies.
You wanted a pizza? Let's grab a pizza. Love it. More visuals. Keep them coming.
Yeah, this is good.
So you look at the banner up here. Sorry if your favorite's unavailable. That to me would have felt more like a COVID appropriate banner in the earlier screen.
It feels like they're doing all the right things, just not everywhere. We've decided this screen is going to be a well-designed screen, but our previous screens, well.
Yeah. I think the hierarchy here is lovely. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of that grey text on the darker grey background. Hierarchy here is much better. Much better. Do you think there's an opportunity here to do any categories or like styles? Because here it's just a list, and I don't know what list this is in order in. Popularity, probably. I think on the web versions I've seen before where it has like styles of pizza, sometimes new styles get promoted. But here it's just a list in what seems to be no particular order. I would have assumed it is popularity.
I think you raise a very interesting point. It's actually hard for us to say what exactly the right solution is because I feel that this is very much based on data. Many options you could go here. You know, you've got vertical scrolling here. You could have horizontal scrolling, like in a swiping fashion. You could have multiple rows with categories that have horizontal scrolling between them, so you could actually get access to seeing more categories, but also be able to scroll between them. I think there's lots of different
you do that
options.
if you're bad at design.
I think there's lots of options, but I think it's really hard to say without the data to support why you would do something.
It's effectively all about conversion rates. Why people drop off is probably a big area of research.
The fact that they start with a large as your default size and the price is so high at $19.99, that really gets me. And not in a good way. I'm assuming that they're doing it because when you anchor someone on a higher price than a large, they're more likely to get that large, or if they go down to medium, rather than if you start at medium, they might go down to small.
Whenever you put a default, obviously you're naturally likely to actually not have as many changes. Domino's are going to be incentivized to try to sell as much pizza as possible. They put their large as the default. People aren't going to change it as much if you just leave that as a default. So I think that makes sense from a business perspective.
But that is the key. From a business perspective, it makes sense. But for a user, I think that is potentially a dark pattern.
I'm not complaining. I will yam down a large and then another one.
And Domino's are grateful for that.
What pizza do you want?
I'm quite classic, so a pepperoni passion will do me nicely.
Okay, let's order your pepperoni passion. Add. Oh, is that it?
Oh, wow.
What happened? Okay, the top right, look, the basket's gone one. Mate, what is it with these apps and not having confirmations that are clear?
I thought I was going to be taken somewhere else, but again, it's just a business decision that if you just keep them on this same screen, they might be like, oh, you know what? I'll get something else as well.
I'm going to guess that if you tap on the actual row without tapping on add, it will take you to change that pizza.
Let's find out. Oof, that is juicy.
Mate, that looks so good. Can we just take a moment to appreciate?
Okay, yeah. So let's go back actually, because that is a good talking point around the fact that the ad went straight to the basket, but clicking the rest of the row went to that screen.
I like your point about the business need. They've got an interesting mix here of user needs or user wants and then business wants. Because I think that does make sense. You click add and it keeps you onto this screen. It encourages you to add more. And the actual clicking of a row, again, I think that's not the CTA. That's a secondary action for them onto this page. They don't really want you to go onto this row.
So I'm wondering whether you can have another button which is explicitly for customizing it. Even if it was like a text, a tertiary style where it's just a text style button.
I could see that fitting alongside on the left here of add. I think Norman Nielsen said about scanning vertically for people is easier than horizontally.
Well, why don't we try and each overlay our idea of what this car should look like? Because I thought some of your ideas were terrible. Then we can let everyone choose which they thought was better.
Game on, bitch. We've added our pizza.
I do want to customize it.
Okay, so how are you going to customize it now you've already added it? I'm going to have to go into the basket. And then Where the hell do I click, huh?
My assumption was I had to remove it, and I think I've done that in the past. I just removed it, gone back.
You've hit the minus.
Exactly, and then gone back.
I love this destructive button being green. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It's a destructive button that says OK and is green. That's terrible.
That isn't great.
That should be a red, yes, I don't want my pizza type of text. Okay, let's remove it because that's what you would have done and go back. Okay, let's say we press the customize button by actually tapping on the row.
Okay, yeah, back to this juicy screen. So I love it at the top.
Love it.
That's great. I want it even more now. Before I was into it, but now I'm just like, yes. I don't want a large.
I'm not a fan of unnecessary steps in design. I prefer simplifying things. Here is a great opportunity to implement some sort of horizontal scroll.
Oh, that would be good.
Or a radio button, at least for size and crust where you've got a fairly limited number of options. Why am I going to another screen?
They've actually got some nice icons here that they've created for them.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
They could be used in this idea of having it on that previous screen in a horizontal scroll or grid format.
2 inches for £2, mate. That'll go a long way in some other places. Oh, goodness me.
Look at the pricing of the personal. That's £11 to £18 from personal to small. Huge! That is a huge jump.
It's almost saying they just want you to basically choose large or personal because those are the ones that really make the most sense, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Medium and small is just a waste of time.
Which is that's clever. It's clever. I guess I'm gonna have to go for a large.
See? Look, they got you. They got you. That's exactly what they wanted. Toppings, do you want any topping changes?
Yes. Give me some chicken breast strips. So interesting, it's highlighted.
Is that free?
It's highlighted the row. It's indented slightly on the left hand side. Now click it one more time. And now it's got double portion or extra portion.
And it's indented more.
Yeah, so this I found very interesting. It's quite fun to use, but yeah, I'm just not really sure it's super intuitive. I do want to point out the creativity there. I've not seen something like this before, and I do like the idea of how it does have this, kind of double state to it. So I do want to praise.
It's unique.
Yeah, I do want to praise the creativity there, but I do question the discoverability of it. I didn't actually notice the whole time that at the bottom it said you can swap 2 toppings for free. Because another thing that is confusing is I don't actually know how much it's going to cost me by adding these.
I want to know. Should we just see how much it would have cost if you did add in a chicken breast strip, for example?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I don't even know. I have to now do some mental maths.
Previously, I think it was £21 before. £21.99.
Yeah, £21.99. So it costs £1.
That's free. Quick maths.
Don't do it, kids. Just go to the store.
Yeah, so sauce. Could you just change the sauce
Sauce.
to barbecue instead?
Barbecue and pepperoni. You're actually a pagan.
You obviously haven't tried it. It is the best thing in the world.
No, because the best thing in the world would be that garlic and herb dip drizzled all over your pizza.
Why don't you just shut up and dribble and press save?
Oh, yo! Hashtag LeBron James. Okay, we'll add this to order. See, they know. They know we want the dip. Such a classic technique, isn't it, when you're buying food? Hey, did you forget about this? Do you want to add this? Yeah, I do. Thank you.
It's a thing that supermarkets do when you get to the right of the till and you have the extras right by the till, right? You've got chewing gums and you don't actually notice it that they're. Whereas on the actual application, you do notice it. So it's a little bit more in your face. And you have to have a little bit of subtlety to it sometimes because part of you is like, oh, well, I know they're trying to upsell me here. So do I want to actually do it? So whilst this is done really well, I do just question if it could be done in a different way. No idea how. I just want to be a critic.
Yeah, always easy to be a critic. Let's go into your order. You've got what you want now. See, this is probably your improved version of adding extra items at the end, the room for more. This is nice. Look, they've got the horizontal scroll. Just drop that into the crusts, baby.
They've done all the right things, just in selective locations.
All right, let's hit the delivery. Love it. Apple Pay. I'm doing nothing besides hitting that Apple Pay straight away.
Let's just pause for a second because there's a lot on this screen. Even though that you did mention Apple Pay, I'm just, at first glance, it was quite overwhelming as to what I should start doing it looks like to me, because the first set of things are input fields, it feels like the whole thing's input fields, and so I just see like a lot of things that I have to do.
I don't like that input field. They just don't look enough like input fields.
Yes, I agree.
They're very thin. I just think there's more opportunity here for icons. Deliver to
That's a pin. When would you like? That's a clock. My details. That's a user. To me, the icons here could add a lot.
You're mentioning some of the visual points here, which I normally would do myself. This is, the conversion page. And going back to your point around Apple Pay, I know it's great they have it in here. And we mentioned, in the EasyJet video that it's important to have Apple or Google Pay. But I think there's also parts that could be utilized better. In this scenario, they've made you enter the details or your address, which actually I think would be included if you were to use Apple Pay properly. And so you wouldn't actually have to type all that information in.
Absolutely agree. It's almost like you could start off with that option, but I know Apple Pay generally is quite expensive for the transaction costs it can incur for companies. So that could be one of the reasons why they haven't made it super easy. Okay, let's hit up the Apple Pay.
Oh, wait. Do you even have enough money in your Monzo?
Should we have a look?
So if your card hadn't declined, Sakky, I wanted to have a quick look at this. Their Apple smartwatch. They have on their kind of notification system, you've got processing the payment, and then you've got this little guy. Talks to you as your order is being made and as it progresses. So you've got ordered, you've got, it's baking in the oven, and then obviously you've got delivered. This has been a great UX point that Domino's do, because the most awkward point in this whole experience, I think, is actually once you've ordered it and you're waiting. Exactly. Yeah.
Whoa! What? Yeah.
It's just a really exciting part, and I think actually I'm done. I'm actually done.
A few moments later.
Yeah, I think this is a really good example of really thinking through the entire user journey. This waiting period, they've taken that, they've brought that offline essentially to an online thing. Before, you wouldn't really know what's happening with your pizza, how long it's going to be, what exactly is happening, and so you never feel like you're actually, waiting without. It's annoying waiting, right? So let's jump into the ratings. First up, we have UX, and I think generally speaking, it was quite a smooth experience. No epic fails, that's for sure. And in terms of going from end to end for ordering a pizza, wasn't too difficult. But there were opportunities for improvement, one being the location at the beginning, which seemed quite complex for something that could be quite simple, and two also being when it came to customizing the pizza. So I think on balance, it's going to get a 3. However, I think the little guy at the end is quite genius around trying to reduce the anxiety or annoyance for waiting, and it's something Domino's done right from, well, not from the beginning, but for a long time now. So I think it's going to get a little bump there, and the UX rating will be 3.5. Now moving on to the UI, I think generally there's quite good design patterns. They've got consistencies in the buttons and styles. It's relatively a clean experience there. But again, I think there were opportunities for improvement. Some of the pop-ups and destructive buttons weren't the best. The coloring for the primary CTA, secondary CTA, sometimes questionable. So I think that on balance will have to be a 3. That's Domino's done. But we want to know whether you actually thought the design points and links were useful, so let us know in the comments. And also, potentially more importantly, who won the design challenge for redesign the pizza card? Was it me? Was it Sakky? It's not really a competition, it's just that if I lose, I'll be thankful for the learning experience. Drop a like, comment, subscribe, and make sure to hit the bell so you can be notified about notifications that notify you. And get ready for the next video because there might be a new face incoming.